We're so excited to be with you today and give you a little sneak peek about our season 3, which is coming up really soon. We're excited to share a little bit more about that in just a couple minutes. But we just wanted to give you a little update of where the collective table is, some changes that are happening, some really exciting things that are coming up for us. But we did want to tell you a little bit that season 3 is going to look different, not because we have a different outline, but also because we're going to have different co-hosts. And Dana wants to share a little bit about why that is going to be. So I'm going to toss it over to her.
Excellent. Thanks so much. So first, I just want to say, if you have not heard the last episode of season 2 with Chelsea and Jennifer Knapp, check it out now. It is awesome. And their conversation is just full of all kinds of good nooks and crannies and yummy deliciousness. So please definitely check that out. But you'll notice that I wasn't on that episode. And so that kind of leads me into just wanted to give you a little bit of an update. Unfortunately, over the summer, as we were concluding season 2, my mom, her name is Ruth, was actually diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. It was a complete shock to our family. And it took us all by surprise, a little overwhelming, as you can imagine. And if anyone has gone through cancer, or had a family member or friend who's gone through cancer, it's a lot to process. She's currently going through chemo and radiation treatment, and at the same time working really, really hard to maintain a smile, stay strong, and obviously courageous. It's going to be a battle, but she's determined. And as a family, we're behind her and here to support her and just be with her during this. Given this, along with also raising a couple of teenagers in my house, one who's getting ready to drive in the next year, who, interesting, had a funny story to share with me in the car today, which I could digress and go on a tangent on how he's thinking about getting ready to drive. And I'm like, I don't know if you're quite ready. As he said, well, Mom, on the test, they asked some kind of the craziest questions. I was taking a little practice test and they said, if you're tired, what's the best thing to do? Pull over and call somebody to pick you up, drink some coffee, or just power through it? And I thought, just drink coffee or power through it. And I'm like, clearly you're not ready to drive. Let's hold off for a couple of months. Anyway, so he's got that going on. And then I'm also working on my final year of seminary at Duke Divinity, all while trying to find time to be in relationship with my amazing husband, and also just trying to find time to stay and be connected with God, which is intentional and takes effort. And so I have just personally felt a little overwhelmed, and I really just couldn't shake that continual feeling that I was trying to do everything, but not really doing anything super well. And so I don't know if any of you have ever felt that way, but I just finally at this point in my life said, okay, I'm not going to continue to power through stuff. I'm actually going to put up a boundary and take some time to really be with my family, and then also make sure that I'm doing the work that I need to do as it relates to school and being with God. So after spending a week at Duke for an intensive residency week, and then a week with my parents, I really made the difficult decision, and it was definitely difficult, to just take a step back from the season. I can't tell you how hard it was for me to do this. I love being a part of this podcast. Like I love our conversations. I love our guests. It's just really is a beautiful thing. So it was very hard.
Dana, it's such a good lesson for all of us that you're modeling, because it's not easy, especially when everything you're doing you love, but to know your boundary and to be able to hold that boundary really has taught me a lot. And I think people that are listening to really kind of put that into practice. We talk about boundaries a lot and we talk about intentionality, but you're actually doing it. And I just, I think it's really courageous of you to lean into that and lean on that. So thanks for teaching us all that lesson.
Well, I appreciate that. And if it does lend itself to that, I appreciate that. It is hard because I think actually you pointed out something great. Like I'm doing everything I do, I love. I love being a mom. I love being a wife. I love doing the work that we're doing. I love seminary. I love learning and spending time with God. And so I am so grateful that I'm doing all the things I love, because I know there are people out there who don't have that privilege. And so I honor that too. But yeah, it is hard, but yeah, you're right. I appreciate that. I actually had to do what I practice or what I preach and put it into practice and say, okay, listen, I just can't do it all. I want to do it all. I'm that kind of person. I'm the kind of person that just wants to get it all done. I want to be productive. I want people to be like, oh, look at how productive she is. But it's just, I can still be productive and not do everything.
But to bring it back around to the driving question, right? Like, you could just power through and drink some coffee, but that's not the right answer.
Oh my
right?
goodness. Look at how God works. That's awesome.
It is to like take a rest and take a nap and pull over and let someone come and pick you up, right? Like that's it. That's, you're teaching Aiden and you're modeling for him.
Okay, I am so going to go off of this when I pick him up this afternoon from school. I'm going to be like, listen, let me tell you how this really connects to life.
Yeah. Give me credit.
And but not that we're totally going on a tangent here, but it is interesting that he said to me, why wouldn't I just power through? And first off, he doesn't drink coffee, but why wouldn't we just power through and drink coffee? And it's like, maybe that's what I'm modeling for him. And so what I need to model for him is like, no, if you're tired, you need to pull over and rest and call a friend. Okay. Wow. Gosh.
That's why we do things in community, driving, podcasts, church.
Amen. Amen. Wow. That's perfect. Okay. So I'm going to leave it at that and just say we have just in this moment summed it all up. And I'm so thankful. And because of that, we're going to have a couple of co-hosts for this season. Claire and Talip are going to step in for me. And I'm beyond grateful to both of them. And I think more importantly, that you're all going to get to hear their voices. This is the collective table. And so I'm excited that you're going to hear from Talip and Claire. If you're not familiar with Talip, I don't know what you're doing, people. You got to follow Talip. You got to listen to his amazing music. Check him out now. He's done some podcasts with us. He's just released a new EP called Be On My Mind. And if you go to our show notes, you're going to have a link to the EP. So go right now. Actually, listen to this, then go. And then Claire, hopefully you've heard her name mentioned as well. She is our amazing content editor and researcher. We could not be doing the things that we're doing if it wasn't for her. And so I really appreciate that she's stepping up to the plate and taking this on. She's also a Duke Divinity alum. So, that's a connection for me. Love it. And so I'm going to toss it over to her because she's here with us and she's going to talk a little bit about who she is.
Yes.
Claire, take it away.
Thanks, Dana. So as Dana and Chelsea shared, my name is Claire and I am so thrilled to be a part of the collective table. So I'm currently an associate pastor at San Diego United Methodist Church, where I serve our children, youth, and families. But another part of my job is the collective table, where I'll be joining as a podcast co-host, a blogger, and helping lead our book club starting next year. And as Dana shared, I'm a recent Duke Divinity graduate, and that's actually how I originally got connected to the collective table. So in my final year, I met Dana, who was very eager to share all of the wonderful things happening at the collective table. And I actually found out I was moving to San Diego. And I had this thought in my head. I thought, that woman Dana I know, I think she lives in San Diego. So I reached out to her. And when I found myself moving out here, the pieces kind of fell right into place and I was able to get connected. I'm a United Methodist deacon, which means I have the unique opportunity to really stand in between that space between the church and the world and connect them. And it's no secret that the institutional church as we know it is shifting. And I really want to be a part of leading that charge towards experiencing Christ in the world and coming alongside of one another as we discover that the divine is all around us rather than, seeking to maintain the status quo out of fear or other things. So I'm so excited to be connecting with Chelsea and Dana and everyone else through the podcast this year.
We're so thrilled to have Claire. Well, I'm just like looking at, we actually video these, even though I know your listeners we're just getting audio, but we have 3 deacons on this that are leading this. And what we found out the other week was so interesting is Claire is in her mid-20s, Chelsea, me, I'm in my mid-30s, and Dana's in her mid-40s. And we all are at these different stages of life. Claire is newly married. I have small children. Dana has teenagers. And so we bring these unique perspectives and offer them at these different stages of life so we can kind of meet everybody where they are and have different ways of connecting. As we know, I don't know what the youth are talking about anymore. And so it's good to have us all, and we're all deacons, and we're all really wanting to use this podcast as a way to connect the church and the world. And I just think that it's interesting as I watched our faces, I was like, yeah, this is what we're called to do. And so we're excited that we can bring that.
All right. So Chelsea, do you want to tell the audience a little bit more about what can they expect? What's going to happen in season 3?
I know. Oh my gosh. I'm seriously so excited. I'm like, everybody I meet, I'm like, oh my gosh, you have to, because it's not about us at all. Our guests are unreal. Like, so for season 3, we are interviewing some of our some famous pastors. I call them famous. I get like nervous to talk. Like, they're like my celebrities. I don't know if they're famous for everybody, but these are some pretty big names, celebrity preachers, and we've asked them to pick their favorite sermon, and then we interview them about that specific sermon. So we'll have a link to the sermon. You could watch it in its entirety, but we'll kind of give you some highlights and clips and talk through the sermon with the pastor that preached it. And so some of our guests that were our scheduled guests include Dr. Reverend Otis Moss III, who is in Chicago, and Amy Butler, Dr. Reverend Amy Butler, Shane Claiborne. There's just so many interesting people all across. They have different preaching styles. They have different backgrounds. And so we're just offering this as a way to, if you're looking to connect to, we get that question a lot, like, who should I be listening to? So this is our way to offer who we listen to. And so offer that to you, that you can check out their sermon and follow them and just kind of learn. As it is the collective table, like Dana said, we're trying to bring you as many voices of different diversity, different backgrounds, different ways of being in the world as we can. So we're so excited. So excited. So it'll come out in October, which I think by the time everybody listens to this, it will be October. We've already had a couple conversations, and they're so good. Like, I'm serious. Check them out. They're so exciting.
I was already telling both of the guests that Chelsea and I have already interviewed. I found myself in both interviews I told both of them, I'm just, as a new person in ministry, I'm just sitting here soaking up all of their great preaching and ministry wisdom.
And their sermons, so people will get to actually read and or listen to their sermons too, and then hear the podcast where we're interviewing them. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. I cannot wait. I'm thankful that I get to be a part of a couple of them, so that's great. And I do think you're absolutely right, Chelsea. People are always saying, who should I listen to? What pastors should I be connecting to? And I think this is a great resource for people as an opportunity to actually be in a worship experience. You can listen to a podcast, listen to a pastor, read or watch the sermon, listen to the sermon, and that's a worship experience. So I think it's awesome. Of course, I think it's awesome.
Well, yeah, it is awesome, and it's really exciting. A couple other things just to kind of keep your eye open for. In January, we'll be starting a virtual book club, and we're going to read the book through the month of January, and at the end, we'll have a conversation with the author. So keep your eye out for that. That'll be coming out soon. We've also started in-person communities. So if you're interested in being in an in-person community, let us know, email us, and we'll help connect you to a community in your area. We know people are kind of listening from all over, but we're trying to start communities all over. So if you're interested in participating or in leading one, let us know, because it's a great way to kind of work through some of these podcasts and questions and scriptures together in community. You hear us talk about community all the time. So this is a great way to do that.
And I think, as always, we're always looking for your feedback. So obviously, you can always reach out, connect with us through email, through social media. But I think we'll also even have some more formal ways for you to connect through surveys in the near future. So always looking for your feedback.
I'm sure there's more, but we'll end it here. We just wanted to let you all know that about some changes and the exciting season coming up. So we hope to connect with you throughout season 3.
Take care.
All right. Bye, guys.